Hey everybody, my name is Corey. This is Wholeviews, and I just wanted to give you all my quick, non-spoiler review of The Messiah on Netflix. So, first things first, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications for the videos. Please click the bell, leave a like if you agree. If you disagree, leave a comment. Shoot me an email at whattowatch337. It's gonna flash on the screen. I'm gonna soon start replying to some of those emails that I've been getting. Got a couple. We'll make a little video series on email responses and try to build and foster a community. So please, shoot at me if you got requests or anything. Send it to that email. But getting into The Messiah on Netflix, and this one might be a little longer because I wanted to talk about this. It's a 10 episode run of The Messiah, and I have to say this is an incredibly thought-provoking show. I would probably say the most thought-provoking show that I've watched this year. I know it's early in the year, but it got me thinking. And if you're a person who want to watch something that'll get you thinking about different things, Messiah is absolutely a show that you want to watch. So here's the setup. If you ever wanted to know how would our government react if a person showed up claiming to be the Messiah, and when I say Messiah, I want to say that term, like a Christ-like figure, because this dude is not Jesus. This is like, you need to know, he ain't Jesus. And if you're a Muslim or a person of that faith, not to be sounding disrespectful or anything, but if that's the faith you follow, you're not gonna find that this is theologically correct for you either. I think that's the biggest knock on the series, is that it doesn't truly choose a side, and it doesn't definitively give you the answer. I would call this a 7 out of 10, and the reasons why I would give it a 7 out of 10 instead of anything else or something higher or lower, the reason being is that there's so much waffling in the show. Not trying to be overly negative, because I thought it was incredibly thought-provoking, but it seems like in the show they give you a few moments that make you think this dude could be the real deal, and then they sprinkle in a few moments that say, this dude is faking it. I think that's the biggest flaw. Like, I feel like they would have done better if they would have definitively said to the audience, here's what this person is, now watch everyone else react to it. It seems to me that they decided they wanted to put out a show that said, you decide what this person is, and we'll give you evidence on both sides that will help you form your opinion. And I think that gives it the feeling of being directionless. But let me get into a little bit of the acting and the positives. I think everybody did a good job. The show is kind of helmed by Michelle Monaghan. You'll see picture, lovely Michelle Monaghan, who was well known from the Mission Impossible series. She didn't have a huge role there. She didn't have much to do there, but that's where I initially saw her, because I'm kind of an action guy, and I like that she had more to do here. Her arc and her character kind of develops really slowly as they focus on the Messiah character, who is, forgive me, Midi Debbie is how Google Translate told me to say it. Midi Betty. Gonna throw a picture up for him as well, but he is our Messiah character, and I think he plays the role with enough nuance and enough, I don't know, maybe it's good directing, but maybe it's just enough of both sides to make you think maybe he's not the real deal and maybe he is the real deal. I don't want to give you my personal perspective, because I want you to form your own if you decide to watch it, but I did like his performance. I did like Michelle Monaghan's performance. I do think that the series is pretty solid. There's another notable actor here, John Ortiz, who's done quite a few things over the years, and he has a very recognizable face. He plays an American pastor of a small church who kind of gets swept up in this Messiah mania, if you will. And I like what his character had to do to a certain extent. I think I like the show to a certain extent, and that's kind of why I go back to the 7. One of the knocks that I have against the show is just that the pacing is, kind of off. I fell asleep on this thing a few times, just because it builds, so it takes so long to build things, and it builds kind of slowly for me at times. And I didn't like the character shifts toward the end. So let's go back over some of those characters. Michelle Monaghan seems quite driven in the beginning, and then by the time you get to like episode 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that back half, she gets really frazzled and starts making weird decisions for her character that we know to at that point. Now maybe it's the stress of the job. She's in the CIA, and we're looking at the CIA watch this Messiah character, and I don't know, I just feel like toward the end she kind of wasn't the same person that we met at the beginning of the show, and I think it was a change for the worse. The Medi Betty, again, apologies, if he was a little bit more nuanced throughout, because in the first half of the season he seemed like he was real confident in the "I'm the Messiah" speak, but then later on he starts to show cracks, and it seems as if he's not the Messiah at all, and causes you to feel a certain way, or at least caused me to feel a certain way about his character and how everything played out. John Ortiz, another guy that I mentioned, I liked him in the beginning. He was a man full of faith. He seemed confident in his convictions, and then you could see him get influenced by, I believe it is an actor named Beau Bridges. I think it's Beau Bridges, plays his father-in-law, and Beau Bridges comes in and kind of puts something in his ear, and you see it go a certain way, and I don't like the way it went for John Ortiz's character. And I think that's kind of where I end up. I think I enjoyed where the characters were building up to, and then when you get to the end of the season, I really didn't like the way things kind of unraveled for everyone. For the Christian viewer, there's quite a bit of cursing, a bit of violence, but I would say outside of the sex scene with Michelle Monaghan, and I think it's episode 7 or 8, not certain, because I kind of ran straight through it, but toward the back half of the season there's a sex scene with Michelle Monaghan and Tomir Sisley, I think that's how you say his name. But there's a sex scene between those two, and outside of those two things, I think this is suitable for a teenage audience and a young adult audience. I would encourage parents to watch this. Christian parents do watch this with young teenage children. Not young, let me backtrack. Teenage children, not necessarily freshmen or sophomores, but if you got a junior, senior, you kind of want to know where they are as far as like seeing the miraculous and then being led astray by it. I thought that's an interesting point to look at and think about as you watch this show. There's quite a few other things that you want to look at and think about as you watch this show. The idea of the American church, is put on display here. And I have a lot of thoughts that I will not share here because I don't want to get blasted by anybody. There's the notion of immigration being an issue. There's the notion of deliberately leading people astray for financial gain being an issue. And there's also the issue of faith and acting on what you truly believe, and that leading you to a certain place. I think specifically of the young Arabic men, young Muslim men being led by this Messiah character, and then later being influenced and believing that by faith this is what I'm meant to do, and acting on faith. Man, it's something to talk about with a young person. So I think definitely if you and your kids have that relationship, I would advise you to actually sit down and watch this together, save for the sex scene with Michelle Monaghan. She doesn't get nude. Of course, she has a name in Hollywood, so she won't get nude, and that's an email question that I'll be doing a video on later. But the guy Tomir, he does, and it's not the hugest of deals. It's a sex scene. It's pretty rough, but it's still tamed by Netflix standards. Netflix does go hard with their scenes. most of the time, but it's tamed here, I would say. One of the things that I would like to kind of bring out and put on the forefront when it comes to this film in this series is that you don't come here looking at this show looking for good theology. To the Christian, to the Muslim, to a man of any faith, don't come here looking for this is going to set me straight and this is going to set people straight. There's actually a lot of godlessness in it. A lot of people with no faith, which is also another topic of discussion. There are so many things that you could discuss with a young person when watching this. So I actually, despite the sex scene, despite the cursing and mild violence, I would say this is something you need to look at with your kids and have a discussion. Now, again, I say kids, but I mean like 15, 16 and up. You can watch this together and have conversations on it. You know, not a 10 or 12-year-old, but you know, use your judgment, people. Use your judgment. Outside of that, I don't have many negatives besides it's paced kind of badly. It gets real slow. It's not action-packed. Don't expect that. But it is thought-provoking, and if you have time and you want to watch something good, this is good. I would say it is good. 7 out of 10, yeah, I would say that's good. And it's definitely something to look at and have discussions on. So give it a shot, see what you think. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. And if you really disagree, you think I'm all the way off, shoot me an email. whattowatch337. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, come back and see me.